Come and fly away with me. 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 Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000
Welcome, everybody, to the Pop Culture Corner. God, I gotta get that cough out. Today is gonna be fun. We're gonna be reacting to a recent debate from Geeks and Gamers and Forced Adversity or I don't know. It's something like that. Forced Adversity, I believe, is the channel name. Dane from Forced Adversity recently had a live stream where a Geeks and Gamers associate, I believe, Lyndon Hall, joined the show, and then the subsequent debate was pretty funny. But we'll talk about that. I also have some updates on Daredevil, the series that's been being talked about and trending on Twitter. And is it a hoax? Is it just RPK trolling? As well as Batgirl, Canary, and the Batman. Some set pictures came out from the Batman, which are dope and show off like the Batmobile, etc., etc. So let's get into all that. But before we do, I just want to throw a quick shout out to all the members of the channel: Prakash Swain, William Powell, John Rodell, Raya, Casey Mack, Caden, Gavin Cooley, Roblox, Benson's, DC Talk with Extended, Resident Justice, That One Carlos, Kinky Sphincter, Ridley1313, Justin Hines, JWJ, Adam, Nick, Billy. You guys are all so wonderful, and thank you for being members of the channel. Guys, we're giving away a pop and a microphone this month for our giveaway for our members. The microphone comes in at $150 and the pop was like $14. So we'll be giving both of those away this month on the channel. So if you do want to win one of those, which I'll show you what they look like after a little bit into the video, if you want to become a member for as low as $2.99, you can just hit that link in the description. With that being said, though, let's get into it. Let's get into this video. I'm here. Let me get the camera started. There we go. It's a little close, I know. I know it's a little close, like to my face, which is not typically how I do it, but that's just how we have to do it today. I didn't. The tripod is being used for something else, and I lost something. So I lost. Have you ever lost something and you can't do anything until you find that one thing? Like your brain just doesn't work until you find it. That's what I just experienced. That's why I was a little late. And YouTube like glitched out on me. But I lost something and it was driving me insane. And I couldn't find it for the life of me. What does it say? The light. It's the light side of the force. Oh, yeah. But what's up, Drifter? I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a while. It's been quite some time. Yeah, so let's get into this, man. So basically what I'm going to do is I clipped the 30 minutes of the debate that I would like to watch. The beginning, it's just that kid, Dane, and at the end, it's just him again. So I clipped the actual debate out of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And after I kind of want to talk about hate channels and what they're doing to YouTube. What's up, Sam? What they're doing to YouTube and what they're doing to your mindset. Because they do alter the way you think. Like if you're big into like Doomcock and Geeks and Gamers, Nerdrotic, those kind of channels, if you do like get heavily invested in them, it does alter the way you start thinking. You start to search out hate and that kind of content because you like it, right? You've been kind of conditioned in a way to want that kind of stuff. So it can become dangerous, guys. So just make sure you be careful. So let's take a look at this this thing. This I kind of had a headache after watching it, I'm not gonna lie. But let's do it. All right.
Yeah. So what's up? I'm curious why you base your entire article or your entire point against Gail
Lyndon
Simone
Hall,
on the
he's
fact
from
that
Geeks
it
and
wasn't
Gamers on the
comic
right-
accurate.
on the left
Can you
side or
give
the right
me
side?
like what your standard for comic accuracy is, and like a film that you think represents comic accuracy? The standard that you have in mind?
I bet he can't.
Stated no. But what I was saying in the article is someone who writes comics, Gail Simone, praises a movie that
So let's-
isn't comic.
Let's talk about that real quick. So Gail Simone is a comic book writer. So the whole premise and the whole basis for this debate was because of this gentleman here, Lyndon, believes that Gail Simone led a hate group attack on Geeks and Gamers and him after writing an article. And that's what Geeks and Gamers does. They're always the victim. They always, they're always on the butt end of an attack. They're always the people that are innocent and trying to do the right thing, which is annoying.
Accurate. Like, isn't that funny? Because she writes comics and then she wants to say, I don't know anything about the comic, but I love the movie. That's a fine with loving a movie. But if you're someone who writes comics, I just think you'd be, if I was writing comics and I saw that, I'd be like that, or what it is like with Amazon. Like if I was
Keely.
Tolkien and I'm like, this is Lord of the Rings and look at what Amazon's doing, I'd be pissed. That's how I came to it. That's how I was looking at it. But first, that article was never going to be written anyway. That was that idea was floated. So you're wrong saying that. What I immediately wrote this article because I didn't. It took me a few hours. That was not happening.
Well, I mean, I believe that. I don't believe. I saw some people saying that the entire intention of you, retweeting her in the first place was to create this victim narrative for yourself, and I don't believe that that's necessarily the case. But I definitely think that you saw an opportunity in considering the publication that you write for, which is that's all Geeks and Gamers does, man, is play the victim. Anything that isn't, that has some character that's not a white male basically becomes this, big evil SJW agenda driven thing, despite those not being definable terms that anybody can really point to. It's all just feelings based nonsense.
Drifter.
Don't you think?
I'm very proud of you.
Like, what are you talking about? Not being a straight white male? Like, what are some of the movies that you're like? What?
I mean, look at how. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Captain Marvel, Black Panther.
Go back to Star Wars. I stopped talking about Star Wars because that got fucking ridiculous.
Hey man, I listed several things here. Please don't just fixate on one. I listed.
I like
things
Dane's
because
conviction.
all of them fit the same thing.
I like how he's
they all
just
fit
like
the same structure of this
Yes.
thing comes out.
He's just saying what needs to be
I
said.
don't think anything's wrong with Black Panther. I don't know if Geeks and Gamers specifically, but I'm pretty sure if I looked up, I can find where Jeremy talked some shit on it on his channel.
Yes, he did.
but like
Jeremy.
He did.
What about
He also
he's black?
okay, but I will give Jeremy this. He also said some really good things about Black Panther when it initially debuted. It's the video where he is, because I went back and I kind of started to look at some things that Geeks and Gamers did around the time of Black Panther's release, and he did say some good things about Black Panther. It's the one video where he's also talking about Martin Freeman and why he was in it, and like why do we need a token white guy in it. He did say some nice things about Black Panther, but since then he's also said some pretty weird, like way out there stuff. So, just to credit Geeks and Gamers where credit is needed.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm saying he's black. You're talking about Geeks and Gamers. Geeks and Gamers isn't just Jeremy. Geeks and Gamers is a bunch of people who are doing some work about like all the different things, and they're different people. Like we've got LGBT members, we've got black people, we got
I feel like that's always
that's
always the argument of a person who's guilty, like in terms of like a racial thing, right? Or like something that is like this, right? Well, no, we have black people with us, we have LGBTQ members in our thing. That's always the go ahead and jump right to excuse. That doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. There were, like, I can name several instances. I don't want to get into that part of it. I might get in trouble for even saying these things. So
Down to Jeremy.
Well, I mean,
Back to it.
he's clearly like the figurehead of the thing, right? Like he's the most visible
He's a
person.
creator. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, am I wrong to think that he's
I like
the one that
this Dane
started
guy,
the thing?
though.
Geeks and Gamers.
I'd
I
like
mean,
to talk to
he
him.
sets the
Maybe
tone.
I'll try to do
The
that.
tone of Geeks and Gamers is to, whine about anything that comes out that isn't fixated on a white straight man. Basically, it happened with Shang-Chi. It happened with Black Panther. It happened with, you know what I mean, Captain Marvel. Like there was, I
Oh
don't know
my
how many
God, the Captain
videos, and I'm
Marvel
sure
stuff.
Geeks and
It's
Gamers is one of
terrible.
them.
It's
Probably
terrible.
articles too, if I look, where it's just they're screeching about her being a feminist, that hates men and stuff, when it's like all she did was say that she thinks there needs to be more people of color that review movies, and that gets turned
It's a
into
pretty
like
good
this.
point.
It's like you guys
I
operate.
don't want to
on
hear what a
different-
40-year-old white dude has to say about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made
Oh
for
my
you.
God. Oh my God.
Okay, so
That's-
why do? Okay, fine. You want to make a video about that and say, I
right,
think
hey,
that's
guys.
a shitty thing to say,
Guys,
but why
guys,
did it
guys,
turn?
guys. Pay attention to what is said next. Lyndon basically says, and I would like, if someone could clip this for me, that would be wonderful, because you could save me the trouble of doing it. Dane asks Lyndon why the content is made on Geeks and Gamers the way it's made. Listen to Lyndon's response.
Into like a year almost of nonstop videos and
Because he
articles
was using
and
the
tweets
algorithm,
about
like
it.
he knows the algorithm was geared towards making those kind of videos, so he did it.
So
Like,
you do admit that Geeks and Gamers uses the algorithms and how it favors sensationalism and outrage. So you're making outrage content, right?
What is YouTube about? Getting views. A lot of people want to get views. Like if
But
your algorithm is
on the back
pushing
end-
one thing, you're gonna make.
On the back end, what Lyndon responds with is also true. Like if something's working and you're making money out of it, or you're gaining views out of it, like, can you blame Geeks and Gamers? No. Can you challenge their morality? Yes. Right? Why didn't it start?
More videos on that thing.
Well, because look, when I make content, I'm making it based on my ethics and the things that I actually believe. I try to. I'm as honest
Pretty
as
sure
I
he believes that
possibly
too.
can be. Okay, so if I wanted to make content about this that pisses me off and this that pisses me off, I would, and I could be far more successful. But I actually have ethics. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I think, that it's completely dishonest to crank out these videos that basically say the same thing over and over and over and over again,
Agreed.
as if it's new,
Agreed.
and to lie
Agreed.
about the industries and say that the comic book industry is failing despite all this data that clearly shows that that's not true. It's deceptive. Why are you okay with that, man? Like, do you ever stop to think that, hey, maybe I could be a more positive contributor to fandom than this?
Okay, so I don't really like this question by Dane, because he is kind of assimilating the entire thing towards Lyndon, and Lyndon's not Geeks and Gamers. Jeremy is Geeks and Gamers. So I don't think he's being like 100% fair to this guy Lyndon at the whole time, because I've looked into what Lyndon does. Lyndon, as far as Geeks and Gamers go, Lyndon is not the problem. At least he's not the entire problem.
Or you just sleep well at night and don't ever think about it?
This is
or
the
what?
problem. All the videos, all this stuff, the laser eyes.
Are you talking
all
about
of
just
it.
Jeremy though? Like
I'm talking about you. Like
Me?
you are working. Yeah, you're working
Me?
for this website that is
Used
connected to
subscribe.
a
What
very
does it say?
prom.
I used to subscribe to Geeks and Gamers till they kept putting out the same videos over and over again. I unsubscribed to that channel. Yeah, just real quick, while I have you guys, while it's paused, let's take a look at what Geeks and... So this is when you go to Geeks and Gamers YouTube. And again, like, part of me doesn't like what Geeks and Gamers is about, but part of me is like, if it's not broken, don't, you know what I mean? Because look at the numbers they have. Look at this. 19,000 views. That was 1 day ago. Next video, 31,000 views, 44,000, 31,000, 15,000, 38,000. Like they've got a formula that works. But look at the thumbnails out of every single one of them. It's like all this nonsense and laser eyes and this and that, and it's just it's really, really depressing.
Prominent, hateful channel. It's hateful. You know, you can say it's not, and you can say that, oh, we got LGBT people and stuff. That doesn't preclude it from being hateful narratives. There are people of color on, you know, that voted for Trump. That doesn't mean that Donald Trump is not a hateful fucking, you know.
Well,
I'm
I'm not
happy
even
for you,
American, so I don't.
I noticed,
I'm happy
but
for
I mean, the
you,
point is, it's
BlackRock.
just an example, is what I'm saying. That it's like the equivalent of saying I can't be racist because I have a black friend, right? It's a non-starter. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. So what if you have a couple of people that are okay with what you?
This is what I was saying earlier. It's always the okay, yeah, let's do that. So it's always the Geeks and Gamers. It's always like they start with a topic and then they run backwards with the solutions, right? It's always like they work their way backward. And you know, like I said, Geeks and Gamers is a channel that's done really well. It's also a brand that's done really well. For instance, the Brie Larson thing. It is like, and the Kathleen Kennedy thing. People that watch Geeks and Gamers no longer consider those two human beings. When they see them, they see problems and they see Geeks and Gamers like laser eyes coming off of them. Like, that's what they see. And that's what I don't like about Geeks and Gamers is their audience really does believe in them. And it gets dangerous because now the audience members, the diehard Geeks and Gamers people, they look at Kathleen Kennedy like some monster, or Brie Larson as if she doesn't have a family, right? You stop seeing that stuff when you get enveloped in this hatred. And that's a dangerous line. That is a very dangerous line to cross. No. Wait, who's a cool guy? Lyndon or Dane? Dane's I would love to talk to Dane. Dane seems like a really good person. He's bringing up all the right questions. I don't think he's 100% fair, and I definitely think he's baiting a little bit, but I think he did the best he could given the circumstances. So let's continue.
You guys are doing, because it doesn't affect them, or they haven't stopped to think about the
By
larger,
the way, y'all, if you do want to support the
social
channel, you can definitely send a
ramifications
super chat
of this
and
type
or
of
become a
content being
member.
cranked out
We
the
can
way
use
that
it
it
all the support.
that doesn't mean that it's not harmful. That doesn't mean that it's not creating an environment within fandoms and communities that tell certain people that they're not welcome, and that the representation that they want in certain characters and movies and comics and stuff, that it's not valid before the movie even comes out, before even a trailer often comes out, like with The Rocketeer recently. You know what I mean? Like something is just announced as having a black character or whatever, and it instantly becomes this.
I didn't hear that the first time around.
This rallying cry for, you know, where people are melting down as if it's like the end of you know, white men in America or something like that. It's absolutely absurd, and I don't understand. I mean, I guess the paychecks must be okay, because that's the only.
And that's what I've been talking about is the money. So it's the money. Like, let's not get it twisted, right? Let's not like try to run from the idea. Geeks and Gamers does what they do because at the end of the day, they're a brand and they make money out of it. Like, let's talk about, there's something on YouTube called cost or revenue per mile, right? That's usually the amount of money you get paid per 1,000 views, right? So look at this. Let's use the first 3 videos for an example. 19,000, 31,000, 44,000. That's approximately 66, 90, 97,000 views, right? So let's say they get paid $25 per 1,000 views. You do the math and tell me that you wouldn't continue making videos the way that they do if that money was rolling in like it does. But I know a lot of people that say that they wouldn't, but I know for a fact they would. Chances are I could even be tempted by it, right? There's a lot of money coming into Geeks and Gamers. And that's the reason why they push out this hateful content, because they know it's going to drive the algorithm. They know exactly what they're doing. And honestly, you can't hate the player, hate the game. I don't stand by Geeks and Gamers at all. At all. I don't like their content. I just don't find it intriguing or educating or anything. But then again, they got something that's working, and no one is going to ever tell them differently. It's a non-issue.
The only way I can understand not stopping to think about this and go, I'm kind of an idiot for doing this, aren't I?
You think everything's about money? That's like you and someone else I had a fucking interaction with because someone asked me to write an article, so I was like, I'll write an article, and then Jesus Christ, like okay, I have no idea what like addressing me, like I don't know what you're talking about. Like okay, you brought up Star Wars before. I fucking got out of the Star Wars game because it's dead now. Star Wars is absolutely dead. That no one cares, no one wants to talk about it, and the only people that talk about it now, Doomcock. I stand on your side. I don't give a shit about Doomcock and his bullshit rumors that come out every fucking week about how capitalism is gone. And I'm like, well, we've been hearing that for fucking 2 years now. So yeah,
I like his accent. Though, I'll give him that. I really do.
The only people
like
we see talking about Star Wars, or people on Twitter that are like super fangirling shit and like Raylos and not that. I'm like,
I got into the fandom menace back in the aftermath of The Last Jedi, and it wasn't until March of 2020 that I got out. Realized that it was all just bait. They never gave suggestions on how to make things better. And that's a great point, Phoenix Night Flame, because Geeks and Gamers is very quick to talk about the issues that they have, but they never propose solutions to that, like what they would do to make it better, right? I have a bunch of issues with how WB is run. I've also given solutions on how I think it could be fixed. And we actually are working on a video right now about how I would run Warner Brothers if I was the one taking over in the merger. So I give and I get what you're saying there. Yes, Geeks and Gamers and the fandom menace as an entirety, they do have a lot of complaining, but they never offer a solution to that.
But
okay, so let me ask you, why is it well, it's not everyone else, man. There are a lot of people who are still fans of Star Wars. It's just not true. It's like, I understand you are in an internet bubble that probably everybody around you doesn't give a shit, but you're not, there are internet bubbles. You have to be aware of that, right? Like there are communities where people with similar worldviews come together, and so that means that the people around you are, Star Wars is dead, it sucks now, or whatever. And then there are other communities that you are not privy to, a lot of them, that are cool with Star Wars still. That are still
look at this
about
comment.
Star Wars.
Look at this comment. How is Star Wars dead? The Obi-Wan Kenobi series just got
announced. I wish they would have shown
that comment. Destroys the lore and canon of Star Wars, doesn't it? Because Kenobi's going to have a rematch with Vader, which never happened.
Okay, guys, before I continue this, I do want to know your thoughts on this. So do you think that because basically what Lyndon's about to say is the Kenobi show is going to destroy the lore of Star Wars. I believe it was written that Vader was sensing Kenobi at one point, and then was like, oh, I haven't seen him since whatever that planet was. I think they bring it up a little bit later. But do you think that the Kenobi show, if Vader and Kenobi have a rematch, do you think that ruins Star Wars or ruins the lore? Or do you think it's all right, whatever, look past it, I guess? Let me know in the comments below, guys. I would be very, very eager to see what you guys thought. All right, let's continue.
How does that
American
destroy the
politics
lore?
or any show related to American
Because
politics.
the first time that Obi-Wan saw Vader,
Agreed.
since seeing him in
Alderman.
Mustafar, was episode 4. And now they're going to have a rematch. If that actually happens, that never happened in the canon. They fought on Mustafar, and then they met in episode 4. They never saw each other before that.
At what point was it said that they'd never seen each other?
Watch this part.
That period. Tell me when exactly that was said that they had not encountered each other at all.
I have a tweet right here. I gotta find it.
Because I kind of know the original trilogy by heart. I know that Obi-Wan says, I haven't. you know, like he says some kind of vague thing that he hasn't seen him in or whatever, but like it doesn't say specifically we haven't seen each other since we fought on Mustafa.
Right here, I've shared the screen. So this is obviously from one of the novels that they always like, because Star Wars has been doing this for how long now? They do extra novels and everything for. But it says Vader looked up at the ship's hull. I sensed something, a presence I've not felt
Yes,
since.
this is what I'm talking
and it says
about.
since Mustafa. Then it hit him.
Mustafa,
Obi-Wan,
that's
he's
what it
still
is.
alive. So it says it right there. He hasn't seen him since Mustafa, episode 3, and then meets him in episode 4. So if they have a battle, a fight now in this Obi-Wan series, it's wall breaking.
All right, well, so this brings me back to the whole premise of your article or your tweet about Gail Simone in the first place, which is why do you feel like that canon is such a sacred thing that it cannot be ever altered or added to or retconned? Like comics are retconned all the time.
They are.
So your channel is named Forced Adversity. So if I call the channel Geeks and Gamers, is that the same thing then? What? No, it's not the same thing. If you change the whole backstory or the look of something,
that doesn't make any sense, man. That doesn't make any sense. That's such an idiotic comparison as to be nonsensical. It really is. I'm sorry.
What about that meme? If your TV show or the movie you love is called Blue, and then it comes out that Disney makes a remake and it's called Red, it's changing the whole face of what it is and the whole idea of what that show is.
Well, because maybe this is the difference then, because it seems like you're about being instructed what to think about these stories, when I'm about interesting narratives and stories. If Disney wanted to remake my favorite show called Blue and call it Red, if the story's fucking good, then fine. You know, it's like Watchmen.
No.
Watchmen.
I don't agree with that.
Come before it, it's fine.
How do you feel about Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Zack Snyder's Justice League, bro.
Here we go.
So I've been the MCU guy for a while, and then I knew I'd watched Man of Steel, thought it was decent. Then BVS came out, and then I was like, everyone was shitting on it because it was they said they chopped it up. It's not the best thing. You need to have an actual director's cut. And that comes out. Watch that. I was like, oh yeah. And then but I was kind of out of it because when Justice League came out, and everyone's like, that is not the movie we were supposed to get. So I never bothered to watch it. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out. It's announced. And I'm like, okay, I'm fully on the train. And I watched it. Fucking 4 hours. It's great. Yes, I love
awesome.
it. Sorry, it was a bit long.
Great.
Yes.
No, it's cool. I'm just curious why, because Zack Snyder's Justice League is not an accurate representation of pretty much any Justice League comic that has ever been written. I love it. I have a poster of it up. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is actually kind of uncommon for people on the left, apparently. But I think it's great. You know, I mean, I think there's definitely some flaws with it.
So if it's a
things
flashback,
that Zack Snyder does in his films that I'm.
So wait, I would be interested to hear more about what you're saying here. So you think the rematch between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader is going to be a PTSD flashback when Obi-Wan realizes that Anakin survived? The concept art. Okay, so maybe he's just misinformed then? I don't know. I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I don't really know or care about the lore. I just watch whatever they give me, and I enjoy it for what it is. That being said, you know, I'm not the most experienced person in the lore. So, I mean, if it's a flashback kind of thing, would it be the same fight or a different fight?
I think are kind of odd choices, but overall, I think it's fucking great. However, I know that it's not anything like any Justice League comic that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of them. So why is it okay for Zack Snyder to do that?
The novelization,
you know, to do something that's completely unlike anything that has existed in the comics before.
Okay,
but he's not a comic book writer talking about.
So where are these
making movies?
Okay, but this is something you brought up twice now. Where is this standard decided and written? Who has decided that if someone writes a comic, then they have to obey certain standards, and if they haven't written a comic, they don't have to? Do you realize how arbitrary and kind of silly that is?
I give it the over.
You're just making up standards and metrics.
What's up, Luis?
For yourself. And that's fine. If you want to have standards and metrics for yourself, that is fine.
Guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel.
To try to apply them to everyone else and say that's some kind of objective, measurement or something it's pretty silly, man.
Well, I think what did you say before? being told what to
What's up,
think.
Adam?
Well, actually, if you watched anything from what G&G has done or any streams, you would have known that
I like
a lot of people
Dane's
clash with Jeremy over a lot of fucking
beard.
things.
I
So
wish I
it's
could
not an
grow
echo
one.
chamber like against what a lot of people believe, because we fight constantly about like movies, games, and what we think is the best. And Zack Snyder's movies are one of them. There's a big division in G&G. Like a lot of people love these movies. Jeremy fucking hates them. So
we need. There's a big
fight
elephant
about
in the
this.
room with that, though, isn't there? There's a big ass elephant in the room when it comes to Zack
Ooh, what's
Snyder
the
and
elephant?
Geeks and Gamers. Am I
Oh,
right?
the
we're gonna get there.
controversy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can understand why there would be divided, because here's the thing. I and maybe if I give you benefit of the doubt and say that you're not like a hateful person, that you just have very specific ideas, you as an individual, right? That you have very specific ideas for what you think should and shouldn't be done. The fact is, when it comes to the anti-SJW, anti-woke crowd, that's very often the starting point for
I would like to know what
criticisms.
book it's coming from as well.
Not the
Phoenix.
story or the
I'll try to
characters or
find
anything.
it.
It's like these positions are worked backwards too. So you start with SJW bad, woke bad, whatever those things mean. The very nebulous terms that get thrown around, despite not having, I've heard everything from climate change to, a woman character being called woke. So it doesn't, and then the positions are argued backwards from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand why after Zack Snyder.
All right, guys. So I do want to stop the video for 1 second. We're going to continue the video, but I do want to show. So we're going to be giving away Superior Octopus Pop. It's a Walgreens exclusive that I picked up. I thought it looked cool, so I picked this up. So we're going to be giving this away to one person, and then the main prize, the main giveaway of the month is this HyperX. You've seen it. I've used it once to show it off a little bit, but I resealed it the way it's supposed to be. This is a $150 USB microphone. The sound quality is absolutely amazing. It actually won the design award in 2019. It glows red. It comes with like a little cool holder, fits on like a microphone thing like this pretty easily, but it also comes with its own stand. So that's valued at $150, and I'm going to be giving that away to one member this month. So if you do want to become a member, use the link in the description below, and you could join for just as low as $2.99. You can also support the channel further by sending a super chat during a live stream, or just subscribing and sharing the show on social media so your friends, family, and Geeks Gamers can watch along with us. So we do it for you, and we do it for the culture. Let's get back to the video.
Rightfully called out Geeks and Gamers because of, Jeremy's made a lot of hateful content, man. Like, you may not think that.
I did a video on that. It's technically, yeah, I know behind the scenes things too that I can't divulge, but yeah, it's not quite true that what he said. It was the way he framed it, because he was talking about a PR statement that he obviously Warner Brothers wanted him to put out about that Asian hate thing, because that event just happened where a bunch of that massage parlor happened, and he wanted to get out in front of that.
Where was it said that this was a PR thing by Warner Brothers?
No, well, look at what happened right after with what's his name? It wasn't Patton. What is his name? The guy that went on after. I've got a video about it. They said the exact same thing. Same thing that Zack Snyder said about Asian hate and stopping Asian hate and Asian representation, all that. It was the same thing that was said right after that, before the premiere of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And also, okay. I mean, if you don't want to, I know you're going to hate this argument, but Uche called him perfectly on that stream, as Uche's stream, perfectly said straight away, well, as a father of Asian children, I mean, yeah, I can agree with you on that. So and he wasn't saying Geeks and Gamers is hateful. It was the way it was said that made it sound like he was saying.
I'm pretty sure that was.
What's this mean? So his beard looks nice, but he acts like a NPC. He'd bring Trump to any random left talk instead of talking about why he don't like their channel. He brings his politics, which, Elderman, I agree, actually. I really, really do. I think that Dane is using a lot of political ammunition. Lyndon is not on this channel, by the way. I don't know if anyone can understand that. Or does he? But he's not here with me. We're reacting to Dane and Force Adversity's debate with Lyndon Hall via Geeks and Gamers. Phil just said hi to him. So, hey, listen, if you guys want to reach out to Dane and ask him if he wants to come on the show, I would love to talk to him. But I do think he is bringing a lot of political ammunition with him and using that against Lyndon. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. So again, I'm coming at it from both sides, whereas I'm not just hating on Geeks and Gamers, but I'm not just following Dane either. I think they both bring up good points at certain times, and we'll go from there.
It's my take.
That was the direct implication, I believe, man, was that you can look at the content that Geeks and Gamers has done. Maybe not you as an individual. I'm not familiar with your specific content other than this article, but I've watched plenty of Jeremy's stuff. I've looked at his, I've done a lot of research into this stuff over the last couple of years. It's literally what this channel is about. And you can't tell me that Jeremy hasn't made, hateful content. No, he's not out there with clan robes or anything like that. Ooh. But I think it's pretty obvious that this day and age, the types of divisions in social, racial lines and stuff have become more nuanced with how people present their hateful points of view.
How you doing, Phil?
When everything that a certain channel makes is fixated on this anti-woke, anti-SJW stuff that is, like I said, very nebulous. And I've tried to get people to come on here and define it. You're welcome to if you want to, in some way that's coherent and is not just moving goalposts anytime they want to label.
You're also correct.
Right? Like Geeks, you can look.
And when I was saying that that Dane is using a lot of political ammunition, all I'm really referring to is the fact that Lyndon isn't doing the same thing. Dane is kind of attacking with the political back. And Lyndon's trying to frame it differently. Again, I think they both have their points. I will say this about Geeks and Gamers. They make a lot of money and they get a lot of views and they have a lot of subscribers. And there's a reason for that. Is that necessarily a good thing? Does that say more about us as a society than them as a channel? I am going to have to say yes. That we as a society, I think, really do enjoy discourse and controversy. Maybe a little bit too much. But then again, some of the stuff that Geeks and Gamers portrays, I'm not really a fan of. But then again, I'm not going to slam them because what they do is working for them. And it's all about, we give them the power by subscribing, right? So there it is. That's the answer. Look
at his content, and it makes sense that he was implying, yes, this is why I'm specifically singling out Geeks and Gamers. Even if it was a Warner Brothers mandate that he say that, it's not a coincidence that he specifically mentioned Geeks and Gamers, right? It's not just because, there's no other explanation for it.
Okay. Okay. Well, moving on from fucking all that shit that happened ages ago.
Very defeated in.
Well, why? Why is it, if it happened ages ago? The Eternals comics happened ages ago, and yet you're fixated on how it's not comic. The film's not comic accurate. Do you like any MCU films? Okay. Which ones of those are comic accurate?
Isn't that a green screen background?
Oh, fuck. No idea. You want me to say that? No idea. I don't care. That comic acts for those movies. I'm not the comic guy. I just know that as a comic writer, I would be pissed if. So basically, he just admitted that he doesn't really know about comic books. Because as a comics writer, I'd be pissed if someone made a movie and Disney made a movie and was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make it," because it's. I said it because it's all for representation. Okay, cool. I'm happy that deaf people can feel represented now, and they can. And as you showed before, that a lot of people have been looking into sign language and all this. But why would a robot like an android okay, I don't want to go into spoilers because it's a movie, but honestly, it's a fucking android that is deaf. Why would you need to create that? The only reason Disney does that is because of representation. Why would you need to create an android, a robot who is LGBT? I don't even need to see a straight relation.
Hold on, because now I have to fix this. So, gotta put the vape away. So, look at my shield, right? Let's move it over a little bit. Look at my shield. See how it has depth to it, and it has a curvature and you can see that it's actually here. Like look around my shoulders. Because I'm an expert with green screen. So I used to use them all the time. I still do. Look at my shoulders. When I turn, there's nothing different. Right? So when you look at Lyndon, and while we continue the video, you could tell it's green screened. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all.
In that movie as well. And that's where I'm going. I don't need to see the sex scene that they created. I don't need to see it.
Why do you think that representation is not important? Why do you think that it's something that should not be valid?
Only when it's to the detriment of the
Look
story.
around his arms. You could see the
and
blackness.
was having a deaf character to the detriment of the story?
Oh, hello.
What does it add? It does.
I'm not, listen, and I believe this would be Dane, I believe. I'm not saying that the idea that politics being mentioned is a bad thing to begin. So what I'm saying is the debate stems from what I believe was the comic book writer in the first place, right? That's why he wanted to talk. I'm just saying that there was with this debate, there's a lot of political ammunition, and Geeks and Gamers is a very political channel. I understand that. I get that. So it's only fair to bring some of that in. But I don't know if Lyndon is the person that creates the dynamic at Geeks and Gamers that is based around that. Like, I don't know. I would have went at him about a couple other things if I had the opportunity to talk to him. I'm not saying it's the political ammunition is a bad thing. All I'm saying is that it doesn't seem like he knows how to handle it. And I don't think it's his fault. I don't think that the Geeks and Gamers culture is him. It's kind of hard to explain, but
doesn't make sense. Why would a robot
Well,
be deaf?
Apparently there's plenty of people that do find value in it, because that's
and I understand where he's coming at here with the robot thing. Like, why is it I get where we're about to go here. Because I've already watched this, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting conversation back and forth.
That's what you're missing here is, and I did a video on this recently about how stories are perspective. It may not be your perspective because, like me, you're a white dude. Me and you don't have to think about this shit. We don't have to think about being deaf. We don't have to think about, racial inequality. We could go through our entire lives.
Have you ever been overseas and been racially looked at in a racial way? Or
I don't
understand why he says that.
I didn't have to go overseas. I've been looked at in a racial way in the United States because of.
So where's the power dynamic there? You've been racially, you've been looked at in a racial. What are you talking about?
The power dynamic is that
it
didn't affect me. Like, if someone's an asshole to me because
in the comments, man, I would love to have a chat with you one day about some things, because I think you're a very educated, well-versed, and you know what you're doing, man. And I truly commend it, and I respect it. That's why I wanted to watch this in the first place. It's because I think you asked the right questions. I think you went at this the right way. You try not to be a dickhead about it. And I think that Lyndon, as the spokesperson, theoretically, right, for Geeks and Gamers in this situation, I think he fell flat at multiple times when it came to defending the brand. I really do. And I love how you got someone at Geeks and Gamers to say, yes, we basically make hate content because it fuels the algorithm. Like that was it for me. Right in the beginning, I was like, yep, finally, they've said it in some form or fashion. So I really do commend this debate here.
I'm white, it's because they don't trust white people because of the historical marginalization that white people have done to black people in the United States. Maybe because you're not from here, you're not familiar with the specifics of it in this country. But if some, black dude is like, hey, get out of here, whitey, or whatever, be like, okay, man, whatever. But I know it's not because I am white. It's because, it's because of the historical marginalization. They've had bad experiences with white people. They've had white people that have started shit with them simply for being black. And no, that doesn't mean it's okay that guy did that to me. but it's not the same thing. It's not just reverse racism, right? Because
It's not
I'm
reverse,
still
it's just racism.
Yeah, in that specific example, it's racism, but that's not the same thing. Like systemic racism is an entire other thing. And there is no reverse systemic racism. There is only racism against non-white people in the systemic sense.
Yes.
Okay. And so, we can get into the nitty gritty of this. It's all consequences of the history that we've had in this country and other countries that have racial, issues. It's all consequences because, of course, certain communities are going to have some resentment towards people that look like the people that have historically kept them down. Of course they are. I have resentment towards, like I'm on the spectrum. You know what I mean? So like I have resentment towards people who,
takes a lot of
autistic people or fucking retards.
Takes a lot to
shit
admit
like
something
that.
like that. I don't know if he's
I
ever
have
done that
resentment
before,
for it, right? Because
amen to that.
I'm a human being. That shit hurts.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just like pass it off, say whatever, they're just a fucking bunch of fuckwits. I can live my own life. I don't need to worry about what they say. Like, how is that gonna? Why are you letting that affect you?
What are you talking about?
Like when people say shit like that, why are you letting that affect it? Like I've been called a white supreme pizzerist. I don't want to say it on your stream.
I
mean,
it
doesn't affect me.
I'm not that. How am I that? I
Supreme
just pass it off.
pizza
Like
is-
these idiots.
I get what he's doing there. And you know what? I kind of I see what Lyndon's coming from in this mode. Why do we let people get to us about these kind of things, right? Like I like where he's coming from here. And I kind of agree. I kind of don't. I think we as a society have a problem with taking what other people say too much to heart, and we let it eat away at us, and we let it do it. Obviously, if they're doing it in a way that is like demeaning or will like put you down, and it's like you, right? That's a different story. That becomes like that's harassment. But if they're just like, it's a stupid thing. But I at least get what he's saying.
Don't know what they're talking about because I'm not that.
It doesn't affect me in the way that
Again,
I'm
Phoenix,
like going to cry
spot
about
on.
it or anything.
Then why do Geeks and Gamers let name calling
because
affect them?
I'm
You're
in
right.
control of my emotional responses. I'm not going to let somebody like that because they're ignorant, and kind of, an asshole. I'm not going to let that ruin my day. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be a little resentment towards it for sure. It's yeah.
What is
I mean,
yellow flash?
all right. So back to the perspective thing, man, because that's what stories are. They're perspectives. And when you say that Disney is only doing this for representation,
All right.
it's a really, really thin argument that kind of misses the point, because representation isn't just
Yeah. So that's another thing. That's another thing that entirely, right? So social media and Twitter, and then even platforms like YouTube, and then the fact that everyone can have a podcast and stuff like that now. The more platforms that we have, it seems that the more thin-skinned society becomes, and the more voices we have, and the more platforms we can speak on, it seems that there's more of a divide, and it's becoming very, very ever present, and it's scary sometimes because now anyone can have a voice. That's a great thing, but it can also be like really, really scary too, because like you're not just giving voices to the good people, you're giving voices to everybody, and with the good comes the bad.
something that they do to make money. Yeah, that's part of it for sure, because we live in a capitalist society. So anything that a company does is going to be to make money. Are you against capitalism?
Middle Eastern countries. Do you see what they've been doing there? Oh, we're gonna censor the Eternals for you because we want to make some money.
That's religious stuff, man. That's
Yeah, that's
religious
religious.
zealotry.
Yep,
They, yeah, it's not
exactly.
good. I don't.
Yeah, but they gave
think
it.
it's good that they do it.
They did it for China.
Yeah,
They're
and
like,
China.
oh, let's censor for China, one of the
Yeah,
biggest
China
markets.
is an
still said no.
authoritarian. China is an authoritarian thing. I don't agree with China. I'm not like a Chinese communist defender or anything like that. So yeah,
where would you put
Good thing we
yourself on
got
the
that out of
political
the way.
spectrum? Just if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I'm just curious because these days, who the hell knows? Because anything, I've been called whatever.
my main priority is harm reduction, and I'd like to see a world where people's perspectives aren't denied simply because they aren't the perspective of someone else. And that's essentially why I am,
There you go.
got pissed at your thing and was making fun of you, because
Agreed.
just because you don't see the value in having a deaf character and you've thought about it so hard, like I said earlier, you walked yourself back into that position of, well, it doesn't add anything to the story.
He's always welcome.
And it's like,
Both of them
it
are.
doesn't
I'd love
have
to talk
to.
to both.
There's, it's just a character that represents a perspective that is not your perspective, but that doesn't mean that perspective is not valid. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean the world to some other people that are deaf.
But if it doesn't add to the story, that's just.
What do you mean Disney didn't bow down to that demand? The China one? The for Shang-Chi? Because I would, yeah. Right? I believe
Like
that's what you're
placing a
talking about.
token there. It's like, hey, here's a deaf person. You can be happy about it. What if it was an actual person, living being, not an android robot, whatever? I'd be
Okay. First off, Lyndon, they're all, regardless, like we have to remember this. And I think people like sometimes really do forget this. At the end of the day, we might as well be talking about fucking unicorns. They're movie characters. Whether it's an android or not doesn't make a difference, right? The representation part of it, that doesn't matter if it's an android, if it's a fucking robot, if it's Lucy Liu. It doesn't matter. They're all fucking fairy tale creatures, right? All of them. It's a movie. So it doesn't matter, right? Like this point is this is where I didn't like.
like, okay, I understand. You're making an actual person with a story, not just someone who can be refreshed every time. I don't want to go into spoilers.
Okay.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
3
I've read
times
the
now.
Eternals comics, which seems like
Yeah,
maybe
they're
you
better than
haven't,
me.
but like, I understand how the
I have like, I'm like you. I have issues reading comics because the way they're structured, like that, the way like I've said it before, but I also have some learning difficult like issues. So that's how I'm not fucking perfect straight white male, fucking nothing wrong. Okay. We've all got fucking issues. So the way comics are structured, it's very difficult for me to read. I do have some, and it's fucking hard, but I try and get through them.
right on. I mean, that's fair, man. Like, so how would you feel if there was an Eternal who had, similar reading difficulties as you? Would you think that takes something away from the story, or would you maybe watch that and go, oh shit, I can relate to that? Because that's what characters are for, man, is for us to watch them and find ways to relate to them. Okay. And that's all it is.
But if they put them there just because they're there and said, look, we've got someone who has difficulties learning, and then they just put them in for 2 seconds, 2 scenes, and that's it. I'm like, well, what the fuck was that?
Why? So where's this arbitrary metric? You see, this is arbitrary. Like it's like you have some book that you're not sharing with me that has all these rules.
Share it with
down.
the class,
like if
Lyndon.
someone's a
We
comic
need the
writer,
book.
they can't say that a movie's good if they haven't read the comics. But
I
if
didn't
they're
say
not,
that.
if they're
I just
if
said
they're
it's
not
funny
a
that
comic
she would
writer,
say that.
but if they're not a comic writer, then it's okay for them to make a movie that doesn't reflect the comics in any way. It's like, where are these rules coming from, man? Like, I understand you have preferences and stuff, but at the end of the day, if you can accept that having Makari be a deaf character means something to people that aren't you, just get off it. I mean, maybe you don't see the value in it, but it allowed other people to connect even more with that character and the story. And and honestly, it could just be a lack of imagination on your part if you don't understand why an android type character might have some kind of disability or something.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say that
Agreed.
the creation of these things were perfect?
Agreed.
Yeah, well, they didn't say anything about it in the movie. That's exactly what. And also someone you brought up earlier, Fabian. I don't know how to say his last name. He said something, which is in my article too. But then he makes a claim about it, and then says he hasn't even seen the movie. So good on you there. Like, why are you talking to me? You haven't even seen the movie, and you want to make a claim about the movie.
I mean, I don't know what he said. I can't speak to that
In the article,
specifically.
you had it. Let me bring it up.
So this is all new now because I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched like 20 minutes of it earlier because I kind of wanted to like react. So but I'm in new territory here.
I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and defend Fabian Nicieza and everything he said or anything. It's like, I'm not here to fight anybody else's battles. I'm just the general thing that I took issue with, because I'd never heard about you. I'd never heard of you until I saw that, Gail had retweeted you, and
See, if she
kinda
didn't
just-
touch it, none of this would have happened. She could have just been like, I'm not going to say anything about
What do
it.
you
I'm
think?
just going to let him.
What do you think social media is, man? Do you think that you just
So this is the premise. Again, this was the premise for what I believe to be the debate in the first place, was the Gail Simone thing. I believe Lyndon thinks that there was an attack on him by Gail Simone. I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but she doesn't strike me as a type that would attack. So I don't understand that part.
get to say whatever you want to directly to people, and they don't have a right to respond to you?
She
Yes!
does. And
Thank
that's
you,
what she
Dane.
did. But I'm saying if she didn't,
Great
it wouldn't have
point.
blown up. That's all I'm saying. Just stating a
Well,
fact.
no.
Why?
So
Okay, so
she
why-
said what she said.
Why, Lyndon, why can you say what you want about Gail, but Gail can't say anything back? And that's what fucking geek. Okay, so let's throw the politics out of it. Let's throw the hate shit out of it. That's the part of Geeks and Gamers that I hate. Is that they always play the victim card, and they're always on the receiving end, and they are never guilty. They never do anything wrong. Yada yada. That's the part of Geeks and Gamers I really dislike. Right? I don't. Again, I don't stand with them. I stand by their right to make videos the way they want to make videos. That's just it, right? That's their right. They have the right to use YouTube, as we all do. However, what really bothers me is when they turn everything into an attack on them, or an attack on the right, or an attack on Hollywood. Like it's really, really, like it's nerve-wracking. Like it splits my wig.
Said, and that article wrote itself. You didn't have any agency in the process, is what you're saying. Because people say shitty stuff to me all the time,
What?
and I barely ever respond to any of it. I could blow it up and make a bunch of content out of it, and stress myself out and talk shit on people more than I even do. You know what I mean? Like, but I have agency in the process. I can go, well, this isn't worth my time. At some point, you may
I think Lyndon thought that he was talking about like an agent, like someone who.
the decision, whether it's conscious or not. You decided that this is worth my time to blow up into a big deal and play the victim, which is what your article is framed as being some kind of victim. When you have to understand the consequences, the potential consequences of responding to a public figure that might draw attention from that public figure's followers, and to try and act like you didn't see that coming, or it's unfair, or you're somehow a victim.
I do it a lot of times on Twitter. I retweet a lot. I tweet way too much. I admit that. I tweet way too much. I was just doing it because that's why. Well, I saw something that I thought was. I should say, because she's a comic writer, and then eventually, not many people over 100 and whatever thousand followers who are comic writers who have other things to do usually interact with that. But obviously, she has.
Well, there's a reason
right
there's a reason she has a lot of followers and that people are very engaged. It's because she has a lot of positive interactions with fans and stuff like that. I mean,
Exactly.
I interact with her all the time. I think she's great.
Cool.
I mean. It's just it's kind of, I think, silly and dishonest to portray it as if she precipitated the whole thing and the article, and it's just take some accountability for your role in it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, dude.
You don't want to hear what Nishiyeza said? Okay. Well,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What do you say?
The idea that a race of super beings being seeded across the planet should reflect the cultures they are actually being seeded doesn't make sense to you. And I said, oh, that would make sense if that's what the movie did. And then he comes out and says he hasn't seen the movie. So why make that point?
So the movie doesn't do that?
It doesn't say we're creating them to make them look like they would on this planet.
Oh, so you need it spelled out for you. You can't just take context and put it together in your mind and go, that makes sense, because movies do that all the time.
No, because they make the same things every time. Like these things are recreated every time for different planets. So why the fuck would this is not right that a race of super beings would reflect those cultures, because they're different planets and they're the same thing. Okay, you don't get it.
So you get,
I think that's bullshit, man, because if the Celestials created the Eternals specifically for Earth, and so they're going to create beings that
they were
represent the beings
in the MCU. I don't think that these Eternals were created specifically for Earth. I don't think, right? Because they had their memories wiped. So, I mean, they were conditioned for Earth after the fact. But in the cinematic universe, I think that they've been other places. Hence the mad weird, right? I guess that's a non-issue point here, but
It's on Earth, man. Like, and if they seeded the Skrull homeworld, I'm sure that they seeded Skrull Eternals. If they seeded the Kree homeworld, then I'm sure they seeded blue and pink Kree Eternals. Like, it makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah,
it's just that you're like almost.
Movie. It's not what happened in the movie.
What do you mean that's not what happened in the movie?
The ones that they were making were the same ones every time.
What's wrong with that?
They're not Kree. They look the same as they do every time.
So did it show Eternals on the Kree homeworld?
And they showed the whole thing. I'm not going to give you spoilers. They showed a whole line of them being made. The same things. All right, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, man. I think it would be.
I kind of agree with you here.
I honestly think that you could do some self-reflection on some of these points and try to ask yourself where you're coming up with these arbitrary standards that you're throwing out and so on. So, that's just my take, but I really do appreciate you coming on and speaking your mind and stuff. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
All right, so what did you guys think? Is Dane justified in his questioning? I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. I also have some other things that I'd like to talk about, not just Geeks and Gamers and Forced Adversity. I do want to say thank you to Forced Adversity. That is your video, so I did use it. I did ask permission, but then again, I didn't wait for a response, so maybe I'm the bad guy. I don't know. But what did you guys think? Is Dane justified in his questioning? And did Lyndon, defend the brand well when it came to like how Geeks and Gamers, puts out content? Like, are they justified in the way they do things, et cetera, et cetera? I'd be interested to know. So let me know in the comments below. Did want to talk about some other stuff. So I've been talking to Casey from GWW, obviously. And I know that there's been some rumors floating around about a Daredevil MCU TV show. And he did share a casting grid. So I did get word that casting grid is approximately a year old. So, it seems that this isn't necessarily news. And I don't think that there's an actual active development on a Daredevil series currently for Disney Plus. I kind of think that it's a hoax, troll, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just basically reporting like what I know. So it is a year old, and it doesn't seem to be the way that they're going. It doesn't seem that there is a Daredevil show in active development at Marvel Studios. That's not to say that Charlie Cox won't appear in the MCU. That's just saying that there's no Daredevil show in development at Marvel Studios currently. With all the rumors and stuff, like by where's my favorite picture by John Campea. He showed some pictures where Charlie Cox was in Spider-Man No Way Home. And that could very well be the case still. Charlie Cox could be in She-Hulk, could be in Spider-Man No Way Home, could be in Echo. All those series, that still could be happening. It just doesn't seem that the Daredevil show that Daniel RPK had quoted or sourced or whatever the casting grid was from, it doesn't seem like that is actually happening. At least actively happening. So, take it with a grain of salt either way, from his point or my point. But those are just what I know. That's just what I know. Also, Daniel did say something about Batgirl. So Daniel RPK had recently put out a tweet that said he thinks that Batgirl, the solo Batgirl film, will lead into Black Canary. I could see that happening. For sure. Because we know that the Canary Project's happening. We know that Batgirl's happening. And I think, those two characters have definitely interacted. They've definitely come across each other in the source material many a time. So that is definitely something I could see Warner Brothers doing. What would you guys think that that's a good way to go? With Batgirl and Canary, should there be a Canary project in the first place? I don't think so. Me personally, I think we need to get our reins on the Justice League. We need our foundations first. I think we need to get our bearings on where our Justice League is and who they are before we even start thinking about Batgirl and Canary and all these other projects that Warner Brothers has pipe dreams for. That's my opinion, personally. I'd like to know what's happening with Superman before I want to even remotely hear about Batgirl. But that, again, I don't know how you guys feel. That's just the way I feel. So some set photos did come out from the Batman. So the Batman set photos like this. As you can see here, it's Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman, and Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon pressed up against a car. It looks like, so I don't know if that's the Batmobile. I think the glass is different. I think they might be lifting fingerprints potentially. You could tell, Jim Gordon's wearing the plastic gloves, although I don't know exactly what the scenario is here. So I'd be, I don't know. So there are some other set photos that show like the Batmobile and stuff. And I think those are pretty cool. The more and more I see the Batmobile from Robert Pattinson's Batman, the more I like it. I know it's not going to be the final product. It's definitely not going to be the Batmobile. I think he'll get an upgrade throughout the series, like the trilogy. But I do think this is a good starting point. I really do. I really like what I'm seeing out of it. When you see the Batmobile from head on, there's got it's like red. And hey, Anthony, how you doing? I believe Batgirl starts filming next week. That could be true. I have not looked into it, as you just heard how I feel about Batgirl. I'm definitely gonna watch it, but I'm not playing into looking at production dates and everything like that. If you'd like to update me, I could always use that. But yeah, so when you look head on at the Batmobile, inside the hood where there's those exhaust things, it's got this nice bright red in it. And when you see it head on, coming at you, I think it looks great. All right, Phoenix. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. So I do hope you definitely hit that subscribe button. And I do know how it is to have to get and walk the dog. I gotta do the same thing, man. So that's why I can't stay too much longer anyway. I was actually only planning this for 45 minutes, but it went a little bit over because I was pausing and talking throughout it. But yes, so I think the Batmobile looks great. That there was a picture during the day that I kind of thought a little bit ugly. But when are we going to be seeing the Batmobile during the day in the film? Probably not. Probably not. When we see the Batmobile in action in the trailer, when he's chasing down Penguin, wow, that was awesome. When it comes out of the fire, vroom, like that, I was so pumped up. And then they flash to Penguin's face and he's like, oh shit. Because he thought he had him. That was pretty dope. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up soon, Drifter, Phoenix, and everyone else. Just definitely wanted to react to that video. I think Force Adversity just responded. Oh, okay. Yeah, so potentially he could be coming on. But yeah, so the Batman, check out those set photos. I don't want to show too many of them. I don't want to get flagged or anything like that. Then we talked about the Daredevil series, how we don't think that it's actually in development currently at the Marvel Studios and Disney Plus headquarters or anything like that. The casting grid appears to be a year old, so take it which you will. Also, possible Batgirl leading into the Canary project, and then I did want to say this. Check out the Recovery Bros on all podcast platforms. We just started the podcast. It's myself, who I am in recovery from alcoholism and addiction. And my buddy Brian is also in the same boat. He's in recovery from active addiction. So we started a podcast to kind of share our experience, strength, and hope, and help other addicts and alcoholics stay sober, one conversation at a time. All of the links for that show are in the description below. So definitely check it out. It's a great show with a lot of laughs and a lot of focus on the right things. So probably be doing an episode tonight. I did want to get over to my favorite culture comrades before that. But definitely, join us live and show your support. Again, I will be giving away this. So it's a HyperX Quadcast USB microphone. It's valued at $149.99 at Target. It's made for PC, PS4, Mac, any pretty much anywhere you can plug a USB in and use it. This microphone works for it. It's got a cool little like shock holder. And it does come with this little holder as well. So you don't have to have a microphone arm like I do. Oh, you can't see it. You don't have to have but it does connect to a microphone arm just like I have here. It's a great microphone for someone who's not using XLR. If you're just doing a show on your own, you're solo dolo. This is a great microphone. It glows up red. It's really cool. So that's $150. I'll be giving that away this month. Where did that pop go? Oh, it's right here. Duh. And I'll be giving this away as well. It's not nearly as expensive, but you can add it to your pop collection simply by becoming a member and clicking the join button below. On our next episode this weekend, we do have a couple of surprises for you. So definitely feel free. Not feel free. Oh, God. Definitely check out the show this weekend. And tomorrow we'll be back with Jiving with Jack. Well, I won't be, but Jack will be. Truly, every single one that shows up day in and day out over here at the Pop Culture Corner, you guys are the lifeblood of the show, and you're the reason I keep doing it, truly. And I do want to give a quick shout out to all of our members once again. Prakash Swain, William Powell, John Rodell, Raya, Casey Mack, Caden, Gavin Cooley, Roblox, Benson's, DC Talk with Extended, Resident Justice, that one Carlos, Kinky Sphincter, Ridley1313, Justin Hines, Jiving with Jack. Yeah, I know. Jack named his chant. I know. Billy, Nick, Adam, you guys are truly amazing. Thank you for supporting the show. If you want to become a member, definitely hit that button in the below. And definitely follow us on all social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We try and TikTok, or whatever it's called. And if you can't do any of those, definitely just subscribe. That's what means the most to us. And like the videos and share it on social media. So guys, till next time, my name's Ty, and I'm the creator of Pop Culture Corner. I love y'all.
Do it for you, and we do it for the culture.